You know who I am?
Anything you say. Anything you say.
It's official.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now, before I get started with this video, I just want, you know, if you've watched my videos before, I want to apologize early on in this video. Sometimes I tend to get a little off subject and start thinking about other stuff and rambling on. I know a lot of people do that, and I'm pretty bad about it. So again, I apologize if I end up doing that. I sometimes do that, and I don't mean to. It sometimes happens. I get to thinking about something else on top of the subject I'm talking about. So, like I'm doing now. Okay, moving on. So the news. What was big in the news? Nothing really, except for, you know, they're still going after Trump. I think he wants to go to jail because that one despicable judge in New York wants to put a gag order on him that he can't talk about his daughter, who's literally funding the Democrats. She's not like a little kid. She's like, I don't know, 30s or 40s. You know, but he can't talk, he can't say anything about her, blah, blah, blah. Which is kind of dumb. I don't get it. But he's going to break it anyway. He's going to talk about it. He wants that judge to go ahead and try to put him in jail. Because, you know, it's against his First Amendment rights as an American. You know, it's bullshit. And they know it. Anyways, that's all I saw going on with Trump anyway. With the latest or whatever. We just had that solar eclipse. I just think it's funny that all these conspiracy theories on TikTok, the loons on TikTok, all came out and started, oh, it's the end of days, this is going to happen, climate change is going to destroy the climate, yada 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 yada, that climate change crap. These people are tarded. Because there's no, climate change isn't a real thing. Will the climate change? Yes, of course. It's been doing it for millions of years. It's nothing new. It's not a disaster. It's just the way the world works. It's always been that way, idiots. Anyways, there was tons of, they even said LARP had something to do, or not LARP, or I can't think of the place that it's called. It's in Sweden, that particle accelerator, like they're going to destroy time because they were going to launch another experiment that day. What was the other deal? I saw something where they were talking about the fault lines come together, you know, right over where the solar eclipse is going to be. And then something about a comet at the same time called the Devil's Comet or something's coming through at the same time. Just whack jobs talking about this stupid shit. Anyways, nothing fucking happened. Boy, I wonder why. Because there was nothing to it. It's just nature taking its course. Jeez. Anyways, that's all I saw really new. Let's talk about what I really want to talk about. I hate politics. So I tried, you know how I am with the paranormal. I've been a PI for 20 plus years. I don't have a channel for it, and I don't go uploading a bunch of, you know, hey, look at what I caught. Yeah. The reason being, you know, I take it seriously. And a lot of these YouTubers do not. Like, they will fabricate their evidence and shit on YouTube, and it's bullshit. It pisses me off because it makes it harder for those who are truly trying to be legit paranormal investigators. So it pisses me off when I see that crap. And there's just too many of them that do that. These amateur YouTubers thinking they're paranormal investigators when they're not. But anyways, when it comes to paranormal TV shows, you know, if a new one pops up, I like to check it out just to see. And I checked out one called, just came about, it's called Files of the Unexplained. Now, I'm more into the investigation type paranormal shows, like Ghost Hunters, Kindred Spirits, that kind of shit. I am not into Ghost Adventures because they've been busted so many times for faking their shit. You know, it's a fake show. But they've got a shit ton of fans who like that crap, knowing that they're acting and it's all fake, but they still watch it. Makes no sense to me. I don't get it. But whatever. This show wasn't like that. It's one of those like Paranormal Witness or some crap like that, where they just recount a so-called witness's testimony about what happened to them, you know, when they saw something, like through interviews and shit, and they do reenactments. I'm not into them kind of shows. I mean, I do like paranormal stories, but it's like they got so many of these type of shows. You know, I'd rather see them do more of the investigation shows than this kind of thing. Just irritates me. Because you don't know if all those witnesses are for real. You don't know them. How do you know that they're telling the truth? You don't. They have no evidence to back it up. They just make the claim. Now, someone could go and experience the same thing where they were at if you had an actual paranormal, legit paranormal investigating group like TAPS go in and investigate and back up their claims. But they don't do that. They just recount a story. So, if you're into that kind of thing, more power to you. And they don't do just, you know, like ghosts. They do UFOs, and I'm not a big fan of the UFO stuff. And they do cryptids too, but I don't know, just not my thing. You know, I like shows that actually show evidence. You know, that kind of thing. But anyways, if you want to check it out, go ahead. It wasn't my deal. I only watched a couple episodes and I was like, yeah, not my thing. So I just got done watching season 1 of the television show Freddy's Nightmares. And I'll get to see, I'm working on season 2 right now. This is the anthology TV show like Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, Night Gallery, that kind of thing. It was done between 1988 and 90. It only had 2 seasons, but I did get through the first season. I could go through every single episode. I took notes, but there's like 20 some odd episodes in the first season. I think there's 22 episodes. Like I said, I took some notes, but I'm not going to go over every episode. It'd take too long. I might go over a couple of them, but the show basically, it has to do with Freddy, and he's causing nightmares in Springwood to certain people. Now in this, he attacks adults too. Well, it doesn't really attack them. It gives them nightmares, adults nightmares too. Whereas in the movies, it's just teenagers. So I found that a little strange. Now he can, get into adults' dreams when he couldn't in the movies. The other thing is the very first episode is about the sheriff, but instead of it being about Nancy, it's about, he has 2 twin daughters, and Freddy was, he was messing with them and shit. And the sheriff was determined to catch him because of that. It was his daughters, and he did. He caught him. But it tells the story, recounts the story how he got caught, and he gets off on a technicality. Like they didn't read him his rights. Anyways, all the parents got together, went to the steel factory where he works, caught him there, and they changed the way he dies. In the movies, they basically bar him inside this one room and then toss what are they called? Martelos or something. I can't think of. Starts with an M, but the bottle with the rag in it, and they light it up, toss it in, and they burn him to death through the windows. And these windows are really tall; you can't jump out of them. But they burn him to death. He can't get out. In the very first episode, they basically pour gasoline all over him, and then the sheriff kills him by lighting him on fire with a torch. And they're all behind the sheriff killing him. And he dies right in front of them. So it's different. They didn't go with the original story. Now he comes back, of course, and torches the sheriff and ends up killing him or whatever. And then you start the series. Now the series basically is more or less kind of like Tales from the Crypt. He's like the Crypt Keeper. Freddy is. He comes in, he'll pop in, a couple times during the episode and say some kind of one-liner. He pops in one last time, at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the episode. He'll pop in and he'll say like a one-liner or whatever. There's just like maybe 2 or 3 episodes, where he actually kills somebody. The rest of the time, it felt like everybody was like in this hell loop. Like they're already dead. And they're just reliving this nightmare in hell. Like they're dead, they're in hell, and they're reliving what happened to them. Their each individual story. Because there's times where, you know, they don't even die in the episode. Like at the end, you know, they live or some shit. But then it just repeats. So that's what it felt like. The other thing was, each episode had like, where it was about an hour long, and they had like 2 stories. Something in the middle of the episode connected them together. Like the first part of the story would be about the boyfriend. And then the second part of the story would be about his girlfriend. You know, something that, you know, Freddy's giving him nightmares about. And that was like with every episode. Now, at the beginning of the series, there wasn't really that good of actors. Like, you very rarely had anyone on that was fairly well known. Maybe a couple of them, but most of the very first episodes, they didn't have like celebrity stars or anything like that. It wasn't until I would say episode 17. It's called Love Stinks. And then you have Jeffrey Combs in there. Big actor. Everyone knows him. He's a huge B actor. Plus, he's been in so many Star Trek episodes of the, you know, certain characters. He's a character actor as well. He played Commander. What? I can't think of his name now. The Andorian on Enterprise. Commander Shek or what? I can't think of his name. Damn, that's gonna piss me off. One of my favorite characters, and he played him. I can't even think of his name. Anyways, he played him, and he played several others. He was in Frighteners as the weirdo investigator. He's known for the Reanimator series. He starred in it. B movies, but you know, like that, towards the end they started putting more celebrities into the episodes. Now, the last episode, you know, you had some girl who was into Freddy, and there was two guys who liked her. One of them was giving her a hard time, but then after Freddy kills, this is one of the episodes that Freddy actually kills. Freddy kills the first kid because they kept calling her Freddy's girlfriend. You know, but she really wasn't. She just found him really interesting for whatever reason. She's like the bad girl, 80s bad girl, the leather, the you know, the crazy colored hair, you know, that kind of thing, you know. Anyways, the other kid started hitting on her after his friend dies, and she didn't want anything to do with him. And then Freddy ends up killing her too because supposedly he's jealous, and she ODs on some sleeping pills or some shit, because she's been having nightmares about Freddy being jealous, and she's trying to tell him it's over, blah blah blah. He ends up killing her as well. But yeah, it's all right. Some of the episodes are okay, but it's really, I mean really cheesy, a lot of the episodes. Yeah, the acting's not real good until you get to the later episodes where you start getting more legit, fairly well-known actors. it's an okay show, like I said, but you just have to deal with the bad acting and stuff at the beginning. Like I said, it does get a little better, after Jeffrey Combs first appears. The stories are kind of bad. They're not really that good. The one thing that's disappointed me about season 1 is that, because I don't know how season 2 is going to act or be like just yet. I'm working on it. The first season, the fact that Freddy doesn't do any of the killing hardly, like 1 or 2 episodes, maybe 3. It's very disappointing. I would prefer showing him doing the killing, because that's what the movies were about. The second thing that irritated me was it was more or less, most of the episodes had to deal with some kind of adult. There was, a few episodes where, dealt with teenagers, but you had a bunch of episodes that had adults in it. And in the movies, it was about teenagers. You hardly ever saw him go after adults, unless they were interfering with him killing the teenagers. Then he would go after adults. But that's not what it was like in these episodes. So he wasn't really doing much of the killing. It was more like they were living out like a nightmare in hell that they just on a loop because they're already dead. And then, he was mainly going after adults. Of course he had some teenagers in there, but it was mainly, like half and half. Half of the stories were about adults, and the other half was about teenagers. So I don't like that. I want to see Freddy doing the shit, not him just coming in and spouting a one-liner or whatever at some point in the episode. That's just dumb. I don't like that. Anyways, we'll see what they do with this second season. Like I said, I just started it. And I'll get back to you once I get it done. But the first season, not a big fan because of what I just mentioned. So, we'll see how season 2 goes. I give it a thumbs up and thumbs down for season 1. Wasn't all that great. Alright, let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Alright, Movieholics. This week is Horror Week. And I just chose a couple off the notch type movies to do. Uh, the first one is an H.P. Lovecraft story. Now, I'm not a real big H.P. Lovecraft fan, and the reason being is almost all of his stories either is something about the Necronomicon, or it has to do with something like Cthulhu, you know, some evil demon or some shit from a different dimension that looks like this big giant squid, you know, with eyes and tentacles. And it's just almost every one of his stories is like that. Of course, this one's pretty much the same. The movie I watched, which I've heard of but I never watched it, it's called the Dunwich Horror. It was done in 1970. It made about 1 million worldwide. Starred Dean Stockwell and Sandra Dee. Now, there's some things about the 70s that it was the weirdest decade. They did some weird ass shit. And I'm not going to get into the whole politics thing and all that crap. Libertarianism and all that BS. But like colors. Brown with red, or brown and pea greens and yellows. They tried to mix all these psychedelic funky colors that just looked like puke. It was gross. All these colors they tried to mix together just did not match whatsoever. The fashion was just redonkulous. Platform boots and shoes, and started coming out with bell bottoms and just god awful fashion. But there was a lot of bad crap that came from the 70s. However, there was a couple of good things. I'll be honest. There was a few, you know, one or two good things. But the rest of it was just bizarro shit. And they could say that about the 80s, but the 80s, you know, they experimented a little, but they weren't like crazy with all the shit they were experimenting. They went full on loony in the 70s with all their experimental shit. Just crazy. The one good thing, and don't get me wrong, Sandra Dee's not a bad looking chick, but I don't know what it was about the 70s short hair, you know, shoulder length, brown haired girls, and I'm usually not into brown hair, but in the 70s they had a lot of these women, short, little, petite, brown haired girls that, you know, shoulder length hair, and they were just hot. And the reason why is because most of the time they hardly wore any makeup. It was all natural. And I'm just, you know, I'm real big into natural looking women. No heavy coated makeup and hair extensions and plastic and all that shit. Just the natural. And the 70s had some hot ass brown haired girls. Short hair brown haired girls. It just did. And in this film, you know, Donna Bakaka or some shit like that. I can't pronounce her last name or the shit. Anyways, she plays her friend in this film. And she was just hot, dude. Sorry, but she was. She's a good looking chick. But that was a good thing about the 70s. The rest of it was pretty much shit. You know, this one of the worst decades. But anyways, the movie, I'd see I'm rambling, sorry. The movie, the story was Dean Stockwell was playing the son of this, apparently his family was weird. People thought they were witches, that kind of shit. His mother supposedly got pregnant, gave birth to 2 children. There was a covenant of witches there when it happened. He apparently, for the longest time, they thought he was the only kid, but they think there were twins. And the other, you later find out, the father was Cthulhu, basically. They called him, you know, ancient evil entities that once ruled the earth and now are in a different dimension, but it's basically Cthulhu. Because they show the other son, the other son's like this monster with like tentacles and eyes and shit, a squid looking creature, which is Cthulhu. So there's this professor at this university who has the Necronomicon. Always with the Necronomicon, Cthulhu with H.P. Lovecraft. Anyway, he goes to the university. He asks the professor if he'll allow him to study the Necronomicon. The professor tells him no. The 2 girls who are assisting the professor, one of them Sandra D, and of course the brown-haired girl, her friend. Anyways, he somehow gets Sandra D to take him home, Dean Stockwell, and then he starts drugging her, and she becomes infatuated with him, and he kind of grapes her, because he kind of like the date grape drug or whatever. I'm saying grape because you gotta be careful about what you say on YouTube. But yeah, he pounds her a few times when she's like drugged out. He's got all these markings on him, these symbols on his chest and back. But whatever, he wants to bring these ancient demons or whatever the hell, Cthulhu creatures, into our dimension from the dark dimension or whatever the hell it's called. But that's the whole story. The professor shows up and stops him. They battle it out with like witchcraft or some shit, and Dean Stockwell ends up dying, and so does the brother, who's been going around killing people, including the brown, the brown-haired girl. I was disappointed. They could have killed Sandra D instead, left her alone. But anyways, yeah, it was okay. I mean, it's kind of slow, a little boring. Maybe a one-time watch. I give it thumbs up, thumbs down. The fact that the actors were really good in it kept me interested going along, but it was just okay. Meh. The next one I watched was originally done in the UK, and then it came over here, and they changed the name, and I don't know why, because the original name from the UK fits the story or the movie. It's called The Lamp, but when they brought it over here, the US put it on, straight to video and called it The Outing, and I don't understand why. That name makes no sense. That title makes no sense. But it was done in 1987. It made about $2 million worldwide. Stars James Houston and Deborah Winters. Now, James is the father, plays the father, and Deborah plays the daughter. One night, Deborah and her friends want to stay all night in this museum that her father's like an archaeologist, and they all want to stay the night, even though they know they're not supposed to when everybody's gone out of the building. Now, at the beginning of the movie, you have 3 thieves that try to steal from this old Arabian woman. They get killed by this jinn, and then from this lamp, of course. But there's also a bracelet that is attached to the lamp for some reason. That's the first time I've seen that. You know, when you see the stories about the genie and the lamp. They went the evil route on this one instead of the good genie giving them 3 wishes. That kind of bullshit. It ends up at the museum. You know, the cops brought it in with a box of stuff. And, you know, her father's checking out the lamp and shit. She ends up finding the bracelet in the box. It puts it on and it locks itself to her. So now she's supposedly the keeper of the jinn, the lamp or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he grants her, like, you know, wishes, but they have evil consequences. Like, when her and her friends decide to stay the night, the jinn starts going around killing all her friends. There's one scene in it that was just ridiculous. Like in the previous movie, she has this short hair, brown hair girl who's really good looking. She was the best looking girl in the movie. Better than Deborah Winters. And she's taking a bath. And the jinn makes these snakes go into this bathtub that she's in. And they just start biting her. Now she sees these snakes. She could have jumped out of the bathtub. But she just stays in the bathtub and lets the snakes grow in there and start biting her. And she doesn't get up and move at all. She just lets them keep biting her until she dies. It was really dumb. But anyways, they look up on the computer. Her father finds out what's going on. He's dating her teacher. Her teacher comes along. They find, he looks up on the computer, the lore about the jinn and the lamp, and finds out that if you destroy the lamp, you kill the jinn. So, the girl, she eventually, you know, takes the lamp down to, you know, I guess they have a curator or whatever, because she takes down the lamp to, you know, this furnace or whatever, and she tosses it in to the furnace, and it burns it up, and, you know, destroys the jinn, and that's the end of the movie. It was cheesy. I mean, it was real cheesy. The acting was just, it was okay, but this was definitely a B movie for sure, because it was pretty cheesy. It's still okay for a one-time watch. Like, you know, it wasn't so horrible you couldn't watch it. It was just cheesy. I mean, it was cheese. But especially for the UK. UK does some really... I'm not a big fan of most of the UK movies anyway. They're just almost all really cheese. And they have like dry sense of humor. And they're just, I don't know. Amber alert. Anyways. Or storm warning. I'm getting it on my phone. That's what you're hearing. Like I said, it was just meh. Anyways, check it out if you want. I give it a thumbs up, thumbs down. It wasn't that great, wasn't that bad.
Anything you say.
Like I said, worth a one-time watch. If you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you could think of any movies I've never even heard of, any B-rated flicks or whatever, please leave your suggestions down below in the comments, and I'll get to review them as soon as I can. So until next time, I told you you'd be told the truth, and you just been told.